All right, so we're gonna get back to UFC 300 and the storylines. So no better time to have a little chat about Bo Nickel. Now, obviously, he's been put on the main card for this event, and while I think it's ridiculous, you know what? In a way, I kind of understand it, and I did call it. I was one of the very few people that was saying, when this fight was announced, I bet you it ends up on the main cards. The UFC is clearly putting a lot of stock in him. There will be a massive audience that will be tuning in for this event, for this card, and a great opportunity to put Nickel firmly on the map against somebody that he's clearly gonna batter. So, yeah, Brandon just fucking horrible. I don't think he's deserving of being in this spot, as I said, but I understand it. Now, obviously, he's only 5 fights or so into his MMA career, hasn't faced anybody of particularly high level, but he's beaten the people in front of him impressively, and that's all you can really do. So my question is, based on what you've seen of him so far, and where you see the trajectory of his career going, do you think Bo Nickel makes it all the way to becoming a UFC champion?
Such a tough one. You know what? As terrible as I think that fight is, and how odd I feel like they've handled his career to this point, I actually do think so. I think that he will be giving a favorable path to it and favorable matchups. And I think that it's all going to work out for him as far as like using his wrestling, using the striking that he's attained to this point. And, you know, getting a little promotional push, like it's going to work. Like he'll be at the very least, he'll fight for a belt. Maybe even slightly before he should. Because if it worked for Sean O'Malley, who, of course, I'm a fan of Sean O'Malley, but I can recognize that he got fast-tracked. And on the way of that fast track, you tend to get a favorable decision here or there. And you put all those things together, I think that's going to push him towards getting an opportunity at the belt. And once he gets in that spot, then he'll be able to really use that wrestling to secure a maybe not so spectacular, but a victory nonetheless. So I think that he'll be able to wrestle his way to a belt at some point.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you. I actually think he will as well, and I have very similar reasons for believing why I think it will be the case. Like, firstly, you brought up the wrestling. I know his wrestling wasn't incredibly impressive against Jamie Pickett, but it was tricky circumstances. He did get him down. It was a bit weird, but I think what people don't understand is that his wrestling is far superior to anyone in that division right now. It's far better. And not only is he a very good wrestler, but he also has shown that he's got the power to chin motherfuckers as well. So while it's early, you know, there are some clearly significant skills to build on here, and I think he's going to be given time to do so. But more importantly, looking at how the UFC are kind of slow rolling him, as you said, they're giving him favorable matchups, and they're putting him in good spots on cards, placing him on the main card of a marquee event that he has no place being on. Let's be honest, at best, this fight should be opening the card.
Yeah.
It should be the one opening the card. And all this tells me that he has very high stock within the company and that they are building him towards something. Now, I will say, I don't think it happens for a few years. I think they're going to continue to give him favorable matchups. By that time, Dricus will be more worked in. Adesanya will be way past it at that point. And I think at that point, when those two have moved on, or that Dricus is more war battered and Adesanya's on his way out, I think at that point they step him in and they have him to take the mantle. He's not the youngest at 28, but he's fresh in MMA terms. He's got no damage on the clock. And as you said, I think the UFC are going to give him favorable matchups, favorable circumstances, and then at the right time, middleweight as well is not a deep division. You know, barring somebody unknown coming out of the woodwork, based on things that are you know, based on how things are playing out and how favored he is, I think it's going to be a matter of time. Now, Joe Pyfer was another one that they wanted to rise up into that spot, and he's already shit the bed. So I think NICKAL will be the next guy that they try to elevate. And I will say this as a sidebar. It would be great to see that fight one day, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got it. If we saw a Bo Nickal and Pyfer fight at some point, I think we'll get it.
I still, you know, yes, Joe Pyfer, his conditioning did not hold up against Jack Hermanson, and Hermanson showed that he was a veteran and he won that fight going away. But I think that Pyfer, he's used to adversity and he'll work his way back into it. And I think that those two are the people that the UFC is kind of banking on moving up in that division for two reasons. One, it carries on, it provides two new stars to the division. But two, those are two people that came from Dana White's Contender Series. And so that really pushes that not only to the, you know, people watching, but to whomever the UFC partners with on the next media rights deal. They'll see, oh, there's stars coming from this, so we really need to invest in this as well. So it helps in so many different areas. So I think that even though Pyfer came up short in that fight, we'll definitely see him fight, you know, maybe somebody lower down in the rankings, but he'll make his way back into it. And I think that was the proper placement for somebody of that level. And I think that Bo Nickal is that level, and that's where he should have been fighting. But we're here now, and he's going to take advantage of Cody and, you know, make himself look good on a big card. And that's what they need, I suppose. I don't like it, but that's what it is.
I see why they're doing it.
I get it. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
The Contender Series thing is a very good point. I think the fact that they want to show that stars are coming out of that particular stable as well is huge.
Yeah.
Because it adds a weight to the show as well. It's like you can, and it must be very appealing for fighters who, you know, because obviously the money involved of Contender Series isn't great. But if you're saying to yourself, right, look at what Joe Pyfer and Bo Nickal have got from it. I take the 10 grand now, it might vault me into a space where it is worth it.
Yeah, the more people that they see come out of the Contender Series that have real success, you know, outside of the Jamal Hills, the Sean O'Malley's, the more people are going to really resonate with that series. And hopefully the more it pushes out the Ultimate Fighter, because that's a dead series at this point.
Yeah, the Shevchenko Grasso thing didn't fill me with much confidence either. I was so annoyed when
I'm gonna watch it because my boy is on it, but
yeah, I'm gonna watch it because your boy's on it as well.
Yeah,
but it was a bit disappointing. Hopefully it will turn out to be good, but we'll see.